This Week in Gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello everyone, I'm Naomi Kyle and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week we're catching up on highlights from Gamescom, the video game event that took place this past weekend, the latest hit video game Black Myth Wukong, a CEO's opinion on AI, and the creators of Portal 2's latest game. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's get started. Gamescom, the largest video game exhibition in the world, was just last week. At the event's main showcase hosted by Jeff Keighley, there were new game trailers, release dates, and a few surprises sprinkled in between. There were dozens and dozens of games at the main showcase, and I don't have time in this segment to cover everything, so I'll cover my highlights from this year's Gamescom. The show started off strong with a new trailer for Borderlands 4, confirming the rumors we covered in a previous episode. We can expect to get our hands on Borderlands 4 later in 2025. King of Meat had an adorable trailer adding in Jeff as a contestant. King of Meat is what Fall Guys would look like if it took place in a cute but twisted gauntlet, and I'm so here for it. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 made an appearance with a gameplay trailer. Black Ops 6 goes into early access from August 30th until September 4th, and the open beta is from September 6th until the 9th. Goat Simulator Remastered was announced for 2024, Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and PC. The latest entry in the Dying Light series was revealed as Dying Light The Beast. The Beast has since evolved from a DLC for Dying Light 2 into a standalone game all its own. The good news is that players who already own Dying Light 2 Ultimate Edition can receive The Beast for free. There's no mention yet how much The Beast will cost or when we can expect to play it, but the release date is expected to be shared later this year. Then we saw some more Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, which is releasing on September 9th. Gameplay for Dune Awakening was shown off for a few minutes during the main event. I got to play some of Dune Awakening at Summer Games Fest, and I am very excited to see what you guys think when it comes out in early 2025. Sid Meier's Civilization 7 had a massive presence at Gamescom. Europeans just love their turn-based strategy games. Civ 7 will be releasing on all platforms on February 11th, 2025. We then got a look at the Rev 8, the land vehicle introduced in Starfield's latest update, and confirmation that Starfield's DLC Shatter Space is coming out on December 30th. I'm such a film and TV nerd, so when you throw video games into the mix, my hype levels shoot off the charts. And that is exactly what happened when Blur Studios, the production company responsible for Love, Death, and Robots, announced that they will be working on a TV series for Amazon Prime they're calling Secret Level. Secret Level will be 15 episodes long, featuring video game characters from games like Warhammer 40k, Sifu, Mega Man, God of War, Pac-Man, and so many others. So mark your calendars, folks, because the first episode of Secret Level airs on Amazon Prime on December 10th. Little Nightmares 3 and Herdling had new gameplay trailers at Gamescom. Blizzard then gave us a sneak peek at Diablo 4's Vessel of Hatred DLC's Mercenaries, and a reminder that the DLC launches on October 8th, which is fast approaching. I got my first look at Floatopia, which is like Animal Crossing but with magic set on an island in the clouds of your dreams. It looks magical, and I hope it fills that Animal Crossing shaped hole in your heart when it launches later in 2025. Then last but not least, we had Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. That was, of course, a big reveal for everyone who's been waiting to hear more news about the game. We got to see some gameplay and a reveal that Indy is coming to Xbox on December 9th, but it looks like Indiana Jones won't be an Xbox exclusive for long. Much to the surprise of everyone, at the end of the release trailer was one final message: Indiana Jones will be coming to PlayStation in 2025, opening up the question now on everyone's minds: what other Xbox exclusives will be making the move next? So that's a wrap up on my highlights from Gamescom 2024. Moving on now to Black Myth Wukong is a game about a classic Chinese story created by Chinese developer Game Science. So it should come as no surprise that the game is a massive hit in China. It has become such a massive success in China that Chinese companies have been giving employees the day off to play Wukong. Some companies, like Gamera Game, have even gifted their employees with copies of the digital deluxe version, but Black Myth Myth Wukong's impact doesn't stop there. The action-adventure title has been breaking records around the globe. Just 3 days into the game's launch, Black Myth Wukong has sold over 10 million copies, firmly planting it as one of the fastest-selling games of all time. Black Myth Wukong has even broken records on Steam and even taking the second spot as Steam's most played game concurrently. Due to issues around optimization, Xbox Series X and S gamers have been shut out from experiencing Wukong. Despite the release date, there is no news on when an Xbox version will be released, but Game Science says that they will have a release date ready to share when the Xbox version of the game meets their quality standards. It has been exactly 1 month since members of SAG-AFTRA declared a strike against the video games industry. The strike has been dealt largely due to video game actors feeling that their jobs are in jeopardy caused by the advancement of AI in the workplace. In a recent interview with IGN, Amazon Games CEO Christoph Hartmann was asked if he had been keeping tabs on AI in gaming and the actors' strike, to which Mr. Hartmann had this to say: "I think game development takes way too long, like 5 years per game. It just means basically everything will be lucky shots, and hopefully AI will help us to streamline processes so hand-done work will go fast. Hopefully it will help us to have new gameplay ideas, which has nothing to do with taking work away from anyone, and especially for games. We don't really have acting." That's funny because I feel like some of the greatest games of all time, like The Last of Us and God of War, owe a large portion of their success to the actors. Heck, even Baldur's Gate 3, winner of last year's Game of the Year award, was praised heavily for its characters, each of whom had actors working tirelessly to record over 1.9 million lines of dialogue and 147 hours of cutscenes. All of this recording surely took thousands of hours to complete, so to Mr. Hartmann's point, AI would certainly speed things along, but do you really think you could enjoy a version of Baldur's Gate with a sterilized Astarion? Yeah, me neither. The human element is what gives art its power, and no matter the level of AI, there is no replicating or replacing the human spirit. Valve's latest game, Deadlock, has been making waves recently. Deadlock even reached 44,000 concurrent players last week, and yet the game is not available for purchase, nor is it in beta. So what is going on? Earlier this month, Valve had sent out invites to download their game on Steam to playtesters, journalists, and influencers. Since the game is multiplayer, those given invites from Valve could send invitations to Deadlock online with friends. From the footage playtesters have published online, it's clear to see that Deadlock plays like Overwatch, but with the addition of waves of NPCs ripe for mowing down, like you would expect from a MOBA like Dota 2 or League of Legends. There are 20 heroes to choose from that embrace the overt wackiness you'd come to expect from a Valve game, like the hero Infernus, who, while rocking a mobster vibe complete with a fedora and toothpick, literally finger guns you to death. Valve has warned players that the game is still in early development with lots of temporary art and experimental gameplay. Even without an official release date for Deadlock, Valve has posted Deadlock's official store page on Steam with more information about the game. Go check it out.
Games out this week.
Starting August 26th, World of Warcraft's latest expansion, The War Within, launches exclusively on PC. August 27th, Core Keeper bursts onto all platforms and releases day one on Game Pass. Smite 2 jumps over to PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. On August 28th, Super Moves somersaults onto PC. Then on August 29th, Bloodless and Squirrel with a Gun burrow onto PC. MEO, The Smiling Man Famicom Detective Club, creeps exclusively onto the Nintendo Switch. Gundam Breaker 4 drops onto the PS4, PS5, PC, and Switch. Akimbot punches onto PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Visions of Mana is summoned on PS4, PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Gory Cuddly Carnage splats onto PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. And lastly, A Shadow of the Ninja Reborn gets a new life on PS4, PS5, PC, Switch, and Xbox Series X and S. Then on August 30th, Galaxy Highways soars onto PC, and Star Wars Outlaws finally lands onto PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. On the Epic Game Store, Fallout Classic Collection, which includes Fallout, Fallout 2, and Fallout Tactics, will be free to download from August 29th until September 5th. And last but not least, Amazon Prime subscribers can download Industria, Arcade Paradise, and the Collage Atlas for free on August 29th.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest, Michelle Morrow, who joins us to shed more light on the SAG-AFTRA video game actors strike, as well as share some of our Gamescom highlights.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Michelle, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, you're a fan of the show, so I figured, hey, might as well get you on because you're a gaming personality.
I listen every week.
I know. I love that. It's so good to hear that. And so I was like, hey, she listens to it every week. She always hits me up on text message and is like, hey, love this discussion you had this week. And so I figured, why not have you on the show to talk about? Yeah, of course. We're going to be talking about something that you've voiced some opinions about. We're immersed in this world, so we know everything about this. But I wanted to know, there was an article this week, Amazon Game CEO came out with somewhat controversial line. He said, talking about the video game voice actor strike, that for games, we don't really have acting. Now, what were your initial thoughts upon reading this? What do you think he meant by that?
Well, first and foremost, it's highly insensitive given the strike and the fact that the SAG-AFTRA interactive contract has been in negotiations for about 2 years. So he definitely knows about it. And prior to even being at Amazon Games, this dude was the president and co-founder of 2K. So it's not like he doesn't know what he's talking about. So it kind of made me ask myself, why would he say such a thing out loud in an interview with IGN, no less? What's the deal? So I read the interview, which was, focused on the future of Amazon Games and just how heavily they're leaning into AI for game development. And people can groan and be mad about it, but it's the future, whether we like it or not. And I'm personally not a technophobe. I think there's a lot of positive applications for AI, and without question, I think it could certainly reduce the stress and development cycle of a game. And to be clear, both of my unions, SAG-AFTRA and the WGA, which is the Writers Guild, have successfully negotiated for us to be able to use AI. So it's not like the guilds are 100% against AI. They just want to be ethically using it, right? So, and being able for us to be compensated fairly. So when this guy is hailing the value of AI about the future of Amazon Games, and the interview asks about our strike, his response is exactly, we don't really have acting in games. The majority of the team sits in programming, and that's not going to go away because that's all innovation. So he's straight up letting us know very clearly that acting isn't that necessary for their titles, at least how it applies to SAG-AFTRA. And this is a guy who oversaw Borderlands at 2K, which was a notoriously non-union title. It's also heavily invested in European studios, specifically Maverick Games, which they talk about in the interview as well, which means they can fully circumvent our talent guilds by hiring overseas talent, not to mention the various tax credits and rebates that the UK gives to American interactive projects. And I have no doubt in my mind after reading this article that their Lord of the Rings MMO that is in very early development, but it will no doubt feature a fully British cast or AI elements in the character interactions. So like it or not, he's just telling us the plan. And I'm not sure anything's going to change that outside of government intervention.
Right. Which is, thankfully we're on the fight. We're on the ground right now trying to protect the rights of creatives and artists and voice actors. We want to have that human touch to the art that we consume. I think the majority of people agree with that. But yeah, from the business end, I guess that's his stance on it. What are your personal thoughts on, first of all, how the strike's going and how you feel the business side is handling this new AI intervention?
Yeah, look, I am always team pay me more money. Whatever that is, give it to me. I joined SAG in 2001 before it even merged with AFTRA. And I've been lucky enough, as you said, to voice several video game characters.
Yeah.
But I never made it my main career track because I've seen firsthand how difficult it is to make a lucrative, sustainable living out of it. You know, even for my friends who are at the very top of the game, which I'm not counting like actual famous celebrities who are negotiating beyond our basic agreements. You know, we've definitely have seen them in a game like Keanu or Norman Reedus or Fillion or whatnot. But even then, I mean, and maybe you feel differently about this, I'd love to know, but I can't say that I've ever personally purchased or played a video game for the actor attached. I've seen movies and TV shows for that reason. And I'm sure there's a small percentage of people that this does move the needle for, but it just never personally has for me. I buy a game for the gameplay. There's a handful of games where the VO truly enhanced the actual gameplay for me, like Baldur's Gate 3 or God of War. But for the majority of the games I play, VO is like the icing on the cake. And I have real concern. Right. And I mean, it always like enhances, but I'll be honest, I have real concerns about actually winning the studios over to our requirements for using our quote digital replicas, because I just don't see studios giving actors any rights to the characters.
Right. So for people who don't know, what are digital replicas? And can you explain it to someone who maybe isn't aware of what those are?
Right. So right now what SAG-AFTRA is asking is that, like, let's say I voice Harley Quinn. Then the game studio would need my permission if they want to alter my performance in any way. So the studio is like, hey, we got your voice, but we're gonna tweak it so that you say something else by using AI or whatnot. And the studios are like, okay, sure, we'll do that. But Harley needs to be readily identifiable as you, and it has to be one-to-one, meaning that I can be the only one who created the character. So like if I do the voice and you, Naomi, do the mocap, then it's a no-go. Right. And further, what about all of the actual game developers who participated in her creation? The artists, the engineers, did they then get rights to decide how Harley is portrayed to going forward in the future, either in this game or in a future game? So it's kind of a slippery slope. And even if we agree that all artists involved should absolutely have rights to what they've created, I just personally don't see from a legal IP perspective why the studios would ever give that up. I mean, having a character is a massive asset. So why do that when they can go use UK talent or non-union talent? I will always stay in accordance with my unions, but I am concerned that we're accelerating the inevitable. Even just comparing the entertainment industry, a huge amount of productions have moved overseas.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, for the strike and everything. For people listening, can you just enlighten them how they can help support the strike themselves?
Yeah, if you want more information, you can go online to either SAG-AFTRA. The website will break down any Q&A. You can also go to an Instagram account run by the negotiating team called Game Performance Matters.
Perfect. Well, thanks for sharing all your thoughts on the strike. I think it's an important discussion to have, and we haven't really taken a deep dive yet on it. So to have you on, someone who's like really a huge advocate for it, is great. And now I wanted to kind of touch on something a bit more fun, kind of the fun stuff. The gaming side there's still a lot of fun things happening. But the Gamescom event happened again this past weekend. Did you follow anything that happened during the show? Was there any game announcements that you were excited to hear about?
You know, I was very happy to have a Borderlands, but it's also such a bummer what the reaction was, especially in light of the movie just failing so hard. I'm a Borderlands fan through and through. I love Gearbox. I love Randy and Christy. And so it was a little rough to see it sort of fall flat on the audience. I'm still excited for Borderlands, but right now it's dicey.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming out 2025 too. So there's going to be a bit of a wait before we get the Borderlands 4 that I'm sure a lot of fans are waiting for. But I agree with you. It was such a bummer to see. I thought it was a cool attempt at making a video game movie that's based on a Borderlands game, which is like in and of itself such a crazy concept of the game and the game world. They also announced Dying Light: The Beast. I'm a fan of the Dying Light games. That's a standalone game that's coming out. Yeah, so owners of, you get a free Ultimate Edition too if you already own Dying Light 2, which I thought was cool.
Woohoo.
Yeah, I know.
I always love that when they reward like past titles.
Yeah, like they give you a little perk for like being a fan. Is there anything else that you saw at Gamescom?
There was like a Dino World thing.
Oh, okay.
That just looked kind of fun. Monster Hunter is always fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish I could go to Gamescom. At some point, I'd love to be able to go. I think it will fill that like void in my soul from
your heart.
E3.
Yeah, it is a big event every year, and they had like 40 million viewers they announced this year, and I'm sure even more people actually attended in person. Yeah, any other games that weren't necessarily announced at Gamescom that you're excited to play?
I think that's about it. Honestly, I'm not. I kind of just play things as they come up. I've been really deep into Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, yeah. Still playing through that campaign and having a great time. And that kind of took my World of Warcraft addiction away, which was good. I had to stop playing after what they did to Sylvanas.
Oh no.
But yeah, and I'm just sort of one of those gamers that will take a game and obsess on that game for a while. And I'm also embarrassingly very deep lately into Pokemon Go.
Oh, that's great.
We have like a whole group of friends who are playing now. And it's been, I have 2 text threads that are just blowing up all day with Pokemon. I had no idea there was so much more to learn about that game, but I think it's kind of having a resurgence.
It definitely is. I've seen a lot of events happening around it. And also just the fact that it continued going after the big hype. I mean, there was a moment there where Pokemon Go was like a part of everyone's lives and everyone was talking about it. So
and again, I'm feeling that happen again. It's interesting. Yeah. So, and I hadn't played the game for years and years. So I've been obsessing with that and Baldur's Gate 3. And, nice. I'm a little behind with all of it, but I just kind of get like that with games. Yeah. I think also like the not having to be a reporter all the time anymore for myself. Right. Like when I used to be like weekly video games reporting, I was just constantly having to like switch gears and play a new game and be on top of something else. And there's been something very freeing for me since the pandemic to just get into one game and play it, ad
to
nauseam.
The end. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I agree with you because I'm still doing the reporting thing. So
I know you're amazing.
I try. This has been nice. It's been a nice creative project, and I've liked just being able to do something just once a week, not every day. Yeah, and also get to pick and choose what I focus when it comes to the games that I play on my free time.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, Michelle, it's always so great talking with you, and thank you so much for joining my show. I hope you'll continue listening and maybe join us again sometime. I always love having you.
Yes and yes. I love this podcast so much.
I'm so glad. Thank you again, and hope to see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Michelle Morrow is an actress, host, and video game personality. You can follow her on Twitter at Michelle Morrow.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had the best time this week bringing you all the latest in games. Thank you so much for tuning in every week, and shout out to my co-writer Josh Seaman for helping put the show together every week. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think about these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you an awesome week, and we'll see you again next week, same time, same place. Talk to you later.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.